Greetings everyone, I'm Kate Allen here. I want to welcome you back to my series on the creative process through the lens of the Tarot Suit of Cups. For this month, I am looking at the creative process through the Six of Cups, and the deck that I used to draw the card from was the Light Seer's Tarot. And in this deck, the card is at the top of the card, you see a little boy in a flannel shirt and jeans, and he's bending down to pet his puppy, a golden retriever. And then there's a series of bowls, 6 of them, that lead down to a picture of a young man sitting next to his dog, who is an aged golden retriever. So this card is about memory. It's about nostalgia. And it can also be about regret or about looking back in some sort of negative way on the past. And when I think about this card in connection to the creative process, I think of how my connection to the past can show up in my creative present, sometimes without my even realizing the dynamic at work. And so I'm going to offer some questions. I invite you to pause the video and reflect either in a journal or however you like. And I'm going to invite you to consider how your past may be showing up in your present in ways that either you realize or that you don't realize, and in either case, in ways that are in some way inhibiting you from being fully present to your creative process now. So the first question I have is, maybe it's the easiest one, or maybe it's the hardest one. The question is, and before I even say it, I want to preface it by saying, don't think hard about this question. Answer it as quickly as you can. Go with your gut. Just whatever your gut says. You can analyze later. Don't analyze now. So the question is, what is one wild creative dream you have? The second question is, whether or not it is directly related to your creativity, what is one attachment you have? And when I say attachment, I mean something like, think of expectations. Expectations are a form of attachment. You might have an expectation that you hold of somebody, maybe a single somebody or a group of somebodies, about how things should go. And when those expectations, 1, aren't named, and 2, aren't met, then you feel disappointed, angry, betrayed. But all the while, you've been expecting other people to be clairvoyant. And in this way, you've demonstrated attachment. Attachment to other people reading your mind. Not only reading your mind, but sharing the same values you do or the same priorities you do. So that's one form of attachment. Another form of attachment, which connects really well with this card, the Six of Cups, is attachment in the form of regret. So you look back on your past and you have maybe a habit of battering yourself for mistakes you made or awkward things you said or did, or ways in which you were not authentic or otherwise true to yourself, or true to your values. So regret can be a form of attachment. Another form of attachment can be worry about going in the other direction, worry about the future. So you want a particular outcome to transpire, but it's an outcome that's out of your hands, at least in part. And so you become very concerned and spend a lot of your energy and mind space ruminating about something that you have no control over. And the rumination involved in worry is a form of attachment. So think about this. And I invite you to think about your attachments without judgment to whatever extent you can, because judgment is not the goal here. The other thing I want to offer is that your reflections are not for me. They're not for your best friend. They're not for your spouse or your parents or your kids or your next door neighbor or your whoever, your barista. They're for you. And since they're for you, you can feel safe in knowing that your reflections aren't going anywhere. So you can be very honest with yourself and feel safe in that. Okay, so we've considered attachments. And now I want to invite you to take your creative dream and invite it into a dance with your attachments. Maybe your dream and your attachment will do the jitterbug, or maybe it'll do the twist, or maybe it'll start flossing. Who knows? It could be anything. And while these two aspects of yourself are dancing, I invite you to observe, again without judgment, and without a mind to sharing it with anybody. This is just for you. And as you observe the two dancing, ask yourself whether there is any way in which your attachment is inhibiting your dream. Maybe your attachment keeps stepping on your dream's toes, or maybe your attachment insists on being the lead partner. What does that look like? And does your dream still want to dance with your attachment? After you've answered that question, I invite you to consider this one. What is at stake for you if you release your attachment? And what is at stake for you if you don't? And then my final question is, what is one thing you can do in the present, today, right now? What is one thing you can do to shift your energy from your attachment to your creativity? Maybe your answer is watching this video. Or maybe your answer is taking 15 minutes to go on a walk by yourself without your phone. Or maybe it's to take a day trip, take off work, go somewhere without anybody else, with the express purpose of enjoying yourself. It could be any of those things, but what step right now can you take? And it doesn't have to be big. It could just be thinking about something for 5 minutes and making note of it somewhere. It could be so many things. I did this process with these questions last week. I've been doing this all month, really, but it came to some fruition last week. I took a longer solo day trip by myself. Obviously, if it's solo, it's by myself. And it was powerful because I ended up spending time in a familiar place acting in unfamiliar ways. And through this process, I was able to see myself and see past patterns of behavior, past patterns of thought with greater clarity. And I was able to invite those past patterns into my present awareness so that I could integrate them. You don't ever get to get rid of your shadow. At least Jung would say so. But you can see it. You can invite it forward. And you can forgive yourself for all the ways that you've acted unconsciously rather than consciously. Well, where you've acted in a reactive way instead of with proactive intention. I did that last week, and it was beautiful. And I realized that this has been a process decades in the making, where I have been journeying toward my truest self. And this trip last week helped me recognize that this process of shadow integration is my last major creative roadblock. And it's the one that will last forever because my shadow's not going anywhere. But the willingness and ability to look at myself with clarity is the last thing holding me back from my truest dreams. And that's really exciting. It's exciting especially because I have so many memories of moving forward and how painfully slow progress felt. It's like being 12 and wanting my driver's license, and it was 4 years away, and it felt like a lifetime. But then I arrived, and then I was driving. And now I feel like I'm driving with my creative dream. So I hope that these questions have yielded some new insight or new food for thought for you. And I look forward to continuing this journey with you. I'll be pulling a new tarot card in early March, and then I'll post a video later in March. As always, thank you to my Patreon patrons, the sticky ones. You are awesome. You make this possible. You inspire so much in me. So I'm so grateful. I hope you have a really great day. And I will see you next time.